We had such a fantastic retreat. Oh my gosh, it was so awesome. And we have another one coming up in just a few weeks, which is so wonderful. I can't wait to experience the next phase of this light series that Mother is doing. So if you are interested, definitely go to our website, belovedpublications.com, and there you can learn all the good stuff. Um, Pam, it is great to see you here, my dear. And Penny, beautiful to have you, my love. And Eva, I'm glad you're here too, my dear. And Kathleen, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm happy you're here too. Uh, yeah, so it was good to, it was really good, I would say for me to learn about light from Mother's perspective and having it validate some of my own experiences and really broaden my perspective about light and how we commune with light, how we live with light, how, light is just a part of our bodies and our minds and the world around us. And it was, yeah, it was really awesome. So can't wait for the next one. Barry, oh my gosh, it's so good to see you here. Good morning, good morning. And Ricardo, lovely to have you, my dear. All right, well, I'm just going to, jump right in here. Let's see. Is there anything else that I had to think of? No, I don't think there is. So let's just dive right in. Hmm. Hello, beloved ones. It is a joy to be with you in this way. Hmm? How wonderful that we can gather together from all over the world, that I can come through this body and into your space, your home, wherever it is that you are watching or listening, that we can drive together wherever you're going. How wonderful, wonder filled, full of wonder. Wonderful. Today, I want to conclude the series of offerings I've done about emotional freedom. So I wanted to do happiness in two parts because, of course, happiness, the emotion of happiness, and any of its different iterations tends to leave you much more fertile for joy. Happiness and joy work well together. They complement each other. They strengthen each other. They lend qualities to each other that can combine and make your experience of happiness more joyful, right? And that is not to say that joy and happiness, when they combine, drive you to such heights that it's almost painful or you feel a little wiped out after that. That is something else that some of you may have due to your highly sensitive nature. If you are highly sensitive, it may be that the energy of your sensitivity can infuse happiness and sort of make it bigger, or the feeling you get from the happiness you feel high almost. It can feel overblown or overdone. And it doesn't have a strong enough foundation. But one of the gifts of joy and happiness, when they combine, is that joy provides that foundation so that when happiness is experienced, it has a more lush and deeper quality. It is not so high that you are going to pay for it afterwards, but it has an expansive quality that feels doable or manageable, or it feels as though there's such a rightness to it that you don't lose control in a way that is upsetting or triggers your fears. Sometimes highly sensitive people can inject their emotions with more energy than maybe is called for based on the situation. So you can have a sense that you are over feeling your emotions, or that your emotions do not exactly match the circumstances. So when love, light are really at the center of your life, then joy is much more a part of your being. It's in the everyday. It's not a special occasion, but there is a sense that joy is always present. Maybe not to a big degree, but it's just there, and you feel it in contentment or satisfaction. You experience joy in the little things, and the people that you interact with, those that you love, maybe making new friends or discovering new things about the people you've known for a very long time. That joy has the ability to keep highly sensitive people grounded and centered, so that as you free up your emotions with that foundation of joy, when you experience them, they tend to be in right proportion to the situation. So you are not left with that feeling that it was too much, um, too much in too short of time, and it sort of overloads your feeling body, your senses, your nervous system, right? So the cultivation of joy is highly recommended by me, by lots and lots of entities of love and light, because we know in human beings that when joy is at the foundation with love, with light, when joy becomes not just a goal, but you allow it to be woven into the fabric of your existence, then emotional freedom comes more easily, because you don't have sort of the fallout when you have big emotions. You're much more on an even keel, and even though there will be highs and lows, they are not to such extremes. So the second part of happiness is to watch how that foundation of joy that comes through love, how that interacts with the emotion of happiness. It's like two friends meeting again, and the effervescence and the feeling of expansion that comes with that. Happiness is most correlated with the element of air. So you have the three elements with the three emotions: fire with anger, water with sadness, and air with happiness. It's like when you watch the wind pick up some leaves and they dance on the wind. There's this lightness of being that comes with that. This is the energy of happiness. It is light. It is contagious in the most wonderful way. When someone starts laughing, maybe you start laughing. And what bubbles up is that emotion of happiness. You are just happy to be laughing about something with someone. It can happen easily, without thought, without planning. And the more you allow that airiness, that feeling that, yes, life can be very serious and there can be problems, but if you don't take yourself so seriously, then that leaves room for this lightness, this airy happiness that flows more easily. Happiness reminds you not to take yourself quite so seriously, or to take life quite so seriously, That doesn't mean you don't care about people, about the world, about what's happening. But happiness challenges you to examine that heaviness, examine that caring. Is it anxiety care? Or are you caring for someone directly? Does your anxiety version of care keep you trapped in a heavy cycle of depression, of pessimism, of pain, of suffering? And that is not to say that if pessimism is natural to your character, that does not make it wrong or bad. But when you find that there are behaviors, whether they're happening in your head or in your heart or out in the world, there are behaviors that feed pessimism, that feed your depression, that you are indulging pessimism and depression rather than managing them, rather than accepting and loving those parts of yourself and asking, what do you need to do to make sure that the pessimism and depression do not overwhelm you, but they simply remain a part of you. This is not about changing your glorious character. It is about balancing, right? Because there should be no one part of you that dominates consistently, right? The emotions ebb and flow. They are not designed to stay forever. They are designed to be in the moment where you live, not in the past and not in the future. They are designed to be felt and experienced in the moment. And they happily make room for each other, right? There is no emotion that is fighting for dominance. You will not find that. So happiness, as it relates and is very close in alignment with air, it's necessary, right? It is necessary. Just as water is necessary, so too is air and fire. These are critical for your life. And earth is what balances all of them together. So this is why I asked you to start this series with learning to clear your body, your energy field, get grounded, get centered, learn to live that way. If you have to clear yourself 3 or 4 times a day, then do that. Do what you need to do to live grounded with Gaia, with Earth, to feel that solid element, that your feet are firmly planted on the ground, so that the fire, the water, the air has this fantastic freedom, and you don't have to worry about your emotions pulling you off center, exploding into your life, creating a lot of chaos or drama, and then leaving you exhausted and depleted. Now, yes, you may feel tired after a good cry, but that's different than feeling the exhaustion from being depleted. So happiness is playful. It can become more and more difficult to feel happiness if you are focusing on pessimism and depression, pain and suffering and struggle. Now, if you physically are in pain, if you have physical aspects of illness, of injury, and you are in physical pain on an ongoing basis, that is going to create mental and emotional pain. It may set you up to be more inclined to be more receptive to anger and sadness. So for you, allowing happiness to have more freedom might take practice. So how do you practice that? Whether you have been struggling with depression or a mental focus on suffering, how do you allow happiness to have more freedom? The very first thing that I encourage you all to do is accept that happiness can exist for you. It can come into you. It can be experienced by you, even with long-term physical pain, mental suffering, emotional suffering. To allow yourself to believe that, and here's the important thing, beloved ones, not that, oh, you can be happy once you leave behind the suffering or the pain or the other emotions, the sadness, the grief, the anger. Then you're allowed to feel happy. Don't do that to yourself. You are putting off happiness consciously. You're making a conscious decision to not allow happiness to be experienced. You're controlling happiness. So the first thing is to accept that happiness can come even when you are in pain, even when you are suffering. And that is not easy to do because the suffering, the pain, can take over so much of your conscious waking life, your senses. So how do you accept happiness? How do you set happiness free? By taking the time first to look at how you delay happiness or how you try to control it by telling yourself you'll be happy when this happens, you get this, or you find your soulmate, or you get this job, or whatever. There's all kinds of stories. You must let go of those stories without any guarantee that happiness can indeed come. in the midst of suffering. To accept that your control over happiness is not currently bringing you the life that you may wish to be living. It's understandable to want an end to suffering. That is what it is to be human. Of course, you want an end to the suffering. And it may be that your stories are woven in such a way that happiness is the reward, right? When your suffering comes to an end, then you get to be happy. But that is simply another way to control happiness. Because oftentimes in many cultures throughout the world, throughout history, happiness has been used as a judgment. Good people get to be happy. Bad people don't get to be happy. And yes, while the public at large agrees or accepts that bad things happen to good people, there's this sort of niggling belief below the surface that says, well, if they were really good, then this wouldn't be happening to them. They somehow did this, they brought it on themselves, and this has carried into heavily the metaphysical New Age thought. A misunderstanding of karma or an oversimplification of the wheel of karma and how that works. Falling back into snap judgments. So with a long history in most cultures, not all, but a lot, that have this underlying judgment that if bad things are happening to you, somehow you deserve it. Either in this life or a past life, somehow you have brought this on yourself, this suffering. So as penance, you don't get to be happy until you've paid your dues, until the penance is over, until the suffering, the pain is over. But that, my beloved ones, is just another story that you tell yourselves, that maybe you grew up with, that somehow there is this underlying story in your culture. That you have taken the old adage, you reap what you sow, to such a degree that you have squeezed out happiness. You may have to dismantle some of your stories. You may have to let go of some of your stories. And that's not always easy. But if you consciously write down your stories about happiness and call on that loving honesty within, you don't have to show your writing to anyone. And you write down your stories about happiness. No matter how illogical they sound, without knowing where you got those stories from, It doesn't matter. Write down all the stories you may have of why you don't deserve happiness, or why you have to keep happiness at bay, control your happiness until you've achieved something. And then you can be happy. And as you write down your stories about happiness, also include an exploration of what it might mean to you to not engage those stories anymore. What would it mean for you to allow happiness, full freedom? Not as a goal, not to control it, to say yes or no, you get to be happy now, but not now, or maybe then, or in the future sometimes. Taking all the conditions around happiness away and letting that clean wind blow through all the corners of your being, sweeping away the old stagnant ideas about happiness, and letting happiness just be. Accessible at all times when it feels right to feel it. And I don't mean right as you decide, right? Without rules. Oh, someone has died. Everyone's sad, so you don't get to feel happiness. But maybe you are sad that someone has died, but you are happy that the family is gathering, that friends are gathering, that loved ones are gathering, people you haven't seen in a while, and you are genuinely happy to see them. Happiness is perfectly comfortable with sadness or anger or any combination. Your emotions are unified. There is no separation. They rise and fall, they ebb and flow, they flare up, they calm down. Write it all out, beloved ones. Any fears you might have of giving happiness its full freedom. And then, in the simplest way possible, invite happiness to be free, not to show up every day so that you can be happy every day, all the time, but invite happiness into freedom. And ask happiness to show you when you are trying to control it, or ask love and light. Show me when I'm trying to control my happiness, when I'm trying to make happiness do and be what I want it to do and be, rather than letting it be what it is. And day by day, little by little, you will set happiness free. And the lightness of air will move through you effortlessly. And just like a strong breeze, then it's over. Sometimes you have prolonged happiness, and that's wonderful. And the more you lean into that foundation of joy, the easier it will be for happiness to have its freedom. And when you feel that happiness, it may be easier to feel the foundation of joy. And so it all grows. The more you give your permission for all this to be free within you, it will be so. But the permission cannot be just a thought. It has to be an experience within you. And there may be other things that your love and light reveals to you other than just writing and meditating on this and working with love and light to really set your emotions free. But you won't know what those things are unless you bring yourself to this experience. And now I want to really express my understanding that I have condensed a lot of information into a few videos, a lot of concepts and possibilities. So please don't for a moment let yourself get hooked into the thought that you can do this in a few weeks. Controlling your emotional life may be an old version of power for you, or having a sense of power in the world that may not be easy to let go of. So be kind to yourself and very, very patient. And know that we will do this together. Moment by moment, day by day. Not so that you can always be happy, but so that you can be free. I love you. Blessed be. Oh my goodness, that was just exactly the part two that I needed. um, wow. Yeah, I know what my next journaling exercise is going to be. Because even as Mother was talking, I was like, oh my gosh, I have a lot of stories about happiness. Um, Gosh, I think we human beings, we are creatures of stories. We tell so many stories. Some of them good, some of them not so good. Yeah, this is just the perfect. Yes, exactly, Penny. This is exactly the part two that I needed. um, Aloha, Barbara. Good to see you, my dear. And Angela, thank you for joining us. Cher and Grace, lovely to see you both. And Robert and Annie, hello. Oh, Jesus is Lord. Uh, well, yes, for many people, he certainly is. Um, we're certainly a fan of Jesus here, although in this community we definitely refer to him as Yeshua. But yes, lots of fans here. Yeah, exactly, Ricardo. I know. I was just thinking of that for sure. Exactly. As someone who is feeling the weight of the tragic events at the church in Grand Blanc, where I previously lived and still have. Oh, honey, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that happened for the people that you know and love in that community. And yes, it is. It is sometimes astonishing what we do to each other uh, in under many guises and under many names and for many reasons. But ultimately, it is destruction and it can be heart-wrenching. Yes, exactly, Barry. Exactly. Yes. Barry, if you're in my neighborhood tomorrow, yes, actually, I may be around. I do have a lot of work tomorrow, but depending on when you'll be here, yeah, just let me know and we'll see if we can't meet up for tea or something or coffee or whatever. Or if it's nice, maybe a walk in Lithia Park. My favorite, my favorite, my favorite. All right, my lovelies, thank you so much for being a part of this series. Oh, it's been fantastic. And I know that all of us would certainly welcome more emotional freedom so that we can feel more whole and more balanced in ourselves. So thank you all so much for being here. Have a beautiful week, and I will see you back here next Monday. Bye-bye.